Shreyans is coming up.
Yep.
To Ambience Mall.
Yeah, he's gonna do some shopping there, and then he said he'll send us a restaurant to go to.
Oh, okay. So he's coming with us to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, Ambience Mall is perfect for me because the airport is very much nearby. Oh yeah, we were filming the video. Again, we have to start again.
Yeah, we'll wait till we're outside the bumpiness. I really need one thing. It's very important for my life. And it is a video I want to watch every single morning, which reminds me that we are at war. With ourselves.
Much like a spiritual video.
It's like a spiritual war video. Like the war propaganda they made was great, but obviously we don't. Like, if someone made a video about I need to go fight the Japanese people, I'm not gonna be like get that excited. I don't think we need to fight them. Make a video about how humanity's on the precipice of something great, and either we're going to evolve or we're going to all completely wipe ourselves out. Then that helps a lot with understanding we are at war. This jacket reminds me that we're at war because I feel like a general.
Nice jacket.
Yeah. And it's a war against DNA, which is just our senescence.
Oh, that's actually good. The sword with the DNA infused to it.
Yep. We must fight, not with our power of survival, with our brawn and physical spirit, but with our brains, because today, we have the capability to do so much more. Evolution is now a choice from the host. I think there was a short time period where survival became not the thing that a culture focused on. It's like we got surplus. Like, survival has always been the meaning of life. Like, no one questioned the meaning of life until we had a surplus of things, but we couldn't fight for more survival. It's like, we have enough food, great, now we can do things and fucking have a good time, and then you're just not gonna live any bit longer, even with the best medical care, to any certain degree, to make it worth devoting your life to survival. So I think we built up a cultural thing of death acceptance at this stage, right? Because we never had death acceptance when the tribe didn't even have enough food and you didn't know how far you were going to make it. People were just like, let's try to live as long as possible. Now we've re-entered a period. So we went through centuries of time where if you're in a civilized country and you're not fighting for survival from a food standpoint, there was nothing else you could really do to fight for survival. You have to make up all this bullshit on why the short life's good and why the Grim Reaper's good and why that makes life meaningful and great. But now, we definitely need to drop that baggage off. Because that's something you do when you are stuck in a hole that you can't climb out of, is you look around at the hole and you try to find gratitude for it. But when there's a chance to build a ladder out of the hole, you gotta build the fucking ladder. And that's what we have today. We've re-entered the period through which we can fight for survival with an understanding of DNA being the most likely format. And already we've had like insane major advances. 2002 is when they first decoded the human genome. Not even perfectly. It cost tens of millions of dollars and it took years. And now you can do that for like $100 and it takes an hour. So this same rate of evolution that we had with the phones and our understanding of computers and electronics, where a supercomputer 50 years ago, the size of this car, was nothing compared to what this thing in our pocket is now.
Yeah, the phones.
Yeah, is happening with genetics and genetic understanding. People said even 10 years ago, we'll never figure out protein folding. boom, deep fold. Yeah, that
And
machine.
now I think like as we are moving towards much more renewable source of energy, I think the genes will play a vital role in tracing back to the ancestral part of us, and then getting more insights out of there.
Once we understand how the car works, we know how to fix it, and we can have a classic running quite well into the future. I just think once you also start thinking on that time scale of a far longer future, or the potential for a far longer future, I think you become a better person too. I think it would be very helpful for mankind to become more educated on the fact that 1, they have the opportunity for survival, 2, they have the opportunity to help fight for survival, that all the small actions that they take do matter, because the butterfly effect has never been as strong. If you think about it, the butterfly effect can sort of be understood as how fast does your action affect a great amount of people.
Correct.
And so that used to happen, the speed of effect on someone else's lives was like the speed of either a horse or maybe a boat, once we got those boats going quick. So what is that? Maybe a boat goes 60 miles per hour. Well, once we invented the radio communication, now we have people influencing the entire narrative at the speed of light. That is ridiculous. But at this stage, you think of the Earth as a brain. I'd really like to get this animated. It would be super cool. Like show the Earth,
animated,
show it a little, like give it a brain surface.
Tarek's gonna do that.
Oh yeah, or at least find or get the animator to do it. I don't think his skills are up there. Every single person on this planet is a neuron. Right?
Okay.
All connected to each other. And 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, just to make sure we didn't have any technology I'm missing here, the speed of this brain was just very slow. Little neurons firing only in locality, spreading at the speed of a horse. Our brain as a humanity has increased in its connectivity and its capability thousands of fold. As we got the radio, you would see a single node who can broadcast to tens of thousands. So now we've empowered a few people to really speak and influence and change the lives of many others. And slowly that power became democratized to most people now. If you have a smartphone, when you launch something onto the internet and even 1,000 people see it, you changed their lives. So they're affected from you. Whatever they do on the internet, when they change 1,000 people's lives, stemmed from you. And so your ability now, compared to even 200 years ago, to influence the entire world, like with the butterfly effect, is insanely higher. Like ridiculous.
So now, like when you say the people are the neurons, so the internet is actually acting as a node or something, connecting between people. So that's the connector or the receptor.
Yeah, the internet is connecting all the neurons in a crazy way. Before, we weren't a very connected brain. We were more so a bunch of gray matter. You're familiar with gray matter in the brain? It's more of just like neurons that are not really being utilized for anything.
Yeah. So I think internet was and is like one of the biggest inventions in human brain.
100%.
And apart from that, I mean, if you have heard like Nikola Tesla, he actually was on the verge of cracking the code how to surpass the electricity wirelessly. I mean, how you can transfer the electricity wireless.
Yep. There's a good amount of people who will tell you that he did crack the code, and that his death was not a accident.
Yeah, correct.
And that his technology was just hampered.
Oh, okay. The wireless electricity?
Yeah. It's this idea that there is control in energy big time. Energy is obviously a resource that we all want or need, and so controlling nations, governments, cities, energy supply has massive value in geopolitical terms, and that's why they wouldn't want everyone to be free from this sense of control, you know? It's like if someone in the prison that you had for the world, if you imagine that there's very smart people who somewhat have a, you know, capability to influence the world in mass and control things to a degree, then they have somewhat form of shackles on everybody. And invisible shackles that people don't know even exist. And that's the best form of shackles. But when someone threatens those shackles to remove them, you know, you wouldn't want that to happen, would you?
Definitely. Bro, still picture लिया क्या हमारा एक भी?
Still picture.
हाँ. अरे
बताओ ना.
So,
Yeah.
I think Suryansh,
Yeah. Shreyan's.
I think he'll be a good discussion partner for all of these ideas. I'm excited about it.
Let's meet him. Oh, yeah. I think we can close it now.
Our video?
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
I'm just waiting for the next neurons to fire.
Okay.
I mean, right now we're
So if you see, these are actually acting as neurons, the connectors which you were talking about.
well, the phone is capturing a little bit of, I think, a high vibe essence. I think it's highly educational. I try to speak about things and become a person who is spreading high informational, life-changing information, right? Because to the degree that I get to affect someone's life in a positive way, to empower them or to make them realize things about the future, that changes the amount of influence or impact I have on their life, which is what I am going for. That's what I'm trying to maximize with my life. Good karma farmer.
You believe in karma?
I believe karma is the only eternal currency.
Yeah, I mean you repay all your debts before going. Something like that.
I don't think anyone's born with karma debt. I simply think,
No. Like whatever good or bad
yeah,
you do, not debt actually. Whatever deeds you do, you repay them.
you repay them.
Yeah.
I think it's more so I like to take, I know that's a Buddhist philosophy, right? Or is that also in Hinduism?
It's in Hinduism.
Okay. Because Buddhism and Hinduism are somewhat similar.
Yeah, kind of. You can say originated from Hinduism.
Okay, Buddhism split off of Hinduism, took away the gods.
No. So I think in Buddhism, the Siddhartha who was king.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wanted something like peaceful life kind of thing. So he went and he did meditation and everything, and then he adopted a new religion called Buddhism.
And he was the Buddha.
So if you
And he was originally Hindi.
yeah, initially I think I'm not sure about it, but then yeah, he might be.
So they at least have a lot of cross-pollination, obviously, because that statement about repaying karma is very resonates in Buddhism. It's the exact
Yeah,
sort
even
of idea.
probably take a trip around to Bhutan or somewhere.
Yeah, I'd like to talk with a bunch of monks, for sure, or Buddhist people, debate them. The idea of repaying karma. So I really think a lot of holy texts that kind of predict the future and say, here's how the world's going to end, or here's how these things are going to happen. These are obviously from very spiritual times, and they have this weird sense of truth to them where it sounds correct. you know, not only do they package themselves in ways where it's like you have to believe this, there's material in there that is on to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think to some degree, the gray matter that existed
In the brain.
which, well, yeah, in the world brain,
Okay.
which is just saying the time when we were less hyper-connected, where there's separate parts of the brain. Basically, this brain had schizophrenia, which is why it had so many different belief systems all around it. You know, it wasn't one cohesive brain. What we're doing is we're still experiencing the effects of having been so separated because we had completely different beliefs. Ones where you'd say, you're going to hell if you don't believe my belief, and you're like, yeah, you're going to go to hell unless you don't believe my belief, which is like, well, that's not, that wasn't a big deal when your country all believed that same thing.
Yeah.
And now that these countries are colluding, it's like, wait, these people are just humans too. My God's going to send them to hell because they believe in a different thing, and I have no more evidence than they do. Like, come on.
So I think somewhat closer, I think karma is the only thing you can believe on.
So, where I was getting with that is, all of these religions then, I like this idea of omnism a lot, which is the idea that all religions have some bit of truth to them. Obviously, a lot of the moral authorities that they have a lot of good things which shape society in a positive way. They give people faith, meaning, and hope, which are all positive traits. And I think some of their predictions about what is valuable in the future or how the future plays out is very true. For example, in Christianity, there's this idea that as we get closer to the end of times, Satan gets stronger, evil gets stronger. And you can sort of think about that as what's happening now is we're building stronger and stronger machines of artificial dopamine, which is kind of extracting people and making them go away. These are like that, but we're also getting stronger and stronger good. So there's a little bit of a split. And in that sense, we are creating heaven and hell. There's very, very good coming, and there's the possibility of very, very bad. The Judgment Day, sort of this period when God comes down to the earth and builds the kingdom of heaven, can be very much so related to this idea of the singularity. The day when super intelligence emerges from machines, and then we either create heaven or we create hell is the idea. I think one idea that I hold on to is that if we do create heaven, will that be heaven for everybody? I think a super intelligence is very, very, very good at, obviously it will be far better than we can even understand. So this is theoretical because I can't tell the super intelligence that it's not going to be a certain degree of good because it's super intelligent and I'm fucking like an ant. But when we do reach this point of there's surplus of all resources, everyone has enough, there's ample amounts for everybody, we still do have hierarchy. Hierarchy is innate to humanity. At this point, people will be able to reconstruct how they look, though, so beauty really won't be inside of the hierarchy. What will be inside of the hierarchy? Well, also at this stage, no people can become more good, right? The superintelligence has now taken over the capability to do good for the world, and it has done the best good that good can do. Meaning, the only scarce resources, if you believe heaven is coming, is good karma. Is your capability now to have a positive effect on the world. And I think naturally, that is going to become the thing which sets the hierarchy into motion. Where you are placed on an eternal societal scale in heaven. And this aligns with not only Buddhism and the idea of different levels of karma, which you'll pay for at the end. If you're on the bottom scale, that might be hellish. It will be heaven around you, but it will be hell in your mind. Potentially the superintelligence can fix that and make you understand that your actions were okay, and we'll have a world of acceptance, of love. You know, we can hope for that. But even so, the past, who you are, is a legacy that you're not going to leave in the graveyard if this happens with the timelines that are being predicted by all the futurists. like all the people who study how fast is the future happening and what is really happening. This is all being predicted within our lifetime, So given that, it's not just a legacy that you're going to leave in the grave, and like, oh, my grandkids or my kids. So you're going to live with the legacy that you're creating day in and day out. And that's sort of the war that I want to be reminded of all the time. Because I think when you understand that, it does the same thing that religions used to do. Religion's power has been lost because we don't believe as much in the power of these gods. We're not as faithful, no one goes to church as much. Young people are like the most not religious ever. Even the reports online of what the percentages are, these are so off because, when I'm filling out a form, I'm just going to put down whichever one I was affiliated to. It doesn't test how much I'm actually, my effort level inside of it or my belief. If we could test that, that would be, just so much lower.
Pretty interesting thoughts.
Did you follow everything? Is there anything that didn't make sense to you?
I think pretty much it completed a circle since you started fighting with ourselves and then ending with the same conclusion, fighting with ourselves every morning.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about us we are fighting. I mean, everyone is fighting kind of with themselves on their scale, bigger or lower, depending upon whatever situations they are facing in or what they want to be. I think karma is some currency which is not visible.
Yeah. I think it is the eternal currency.
Yeah, something like that.
And to me, the way that this knowledge is powerful. Have you ever heard of info hazards?
Info hazards, no.
Okay. Info hazards is information that is seen as dangerous to society. So like your easiest info hazard would be like a wiki on how to build a bomb. That's definitely a wiki hazard or an info hazard. The more esoteric info hazard would be like solid proof for solipsism or quantum immortality. I think would both be info hazards. Both of those believe either you're immortal and you can't die, is quantum immortality, and solipsism is you believe you're the only real person in this world. I think both are dangerous mindsets to fully believe it. The opposite, there's not really a term for it, but I was like I actually made a post on the Effective Altruism forum, seeing if there were anybody who had talked about this. Didn't get really.
You opened up the altruism something in Philippines.
Effective Altruism Philippines.
Yeah.
I went there. I didn't open anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I was kind of ideating on that, and I think Info Safeguards is a decent name. I like thinking about like, okay, if info hazards is the worst information to spread to the world, that's the most dangerous. What's the total opposite of that? What information, if spread to the world, would make the world a far better place? What stuff is dangerously good? Weaponized altruism. That's the type of shit that I like. And there's a few. I have a few. I think one of those is the idea that karma is the eternal currency, and that understanding is pretty weaponized. Because I think if someone understands that, then and that one paired with the short timeline of exponential growth for the future. Because if you think that way, then like your house, you should not own a house. It's like owning a house through the singularity is like having a ton of cash during an apocalypse when cash becomes useless. You know what I mean?
The reverse of info hazard, I think the basic thing which we can do, we have nodes, we have internet connectivity, we have everything. But a lot of people in the world, they are not on a common ground to communicate with each other, like a common language. Probably we can start with that, like not taking up English just as a language of US or UK,
Yeah.
taking it as an international language and everyone learning it just for the sake of communication.
Yeah.
So I assume that's the basic step which we can take, and it will be a reversal to influenza.
Yeah. I think that one's happening pretty naturally. And
Up to some extent, yes. But
Yeah.
then, some countries are not so receptive of the language as English.
Sure.
Like China, for example.
I think they go from a government standpoint, from the top down power structure.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't want English to be the world language. They want Chinese to be the world language because they want to rule the world. You
But
know.
then a lot of people are speaking. I mean, yeah, if you see the number of people speaking Mandarin, it's more than English.
Mhm.
Because the population of China itself is 1.5 billion, around something like that.
Right.
So 1.5 billion people speaking just Chinese
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. I think in terms of the information flow of the world, the easier place to start is on exactly what we're doing right now.
The social rules.
Yes. Because
So
a key portion of that
Yeah.
is the fact that all of these social media platforms currently run engagement algorithms, which is it looks at a human and it says, my goal with you is to make you do jack all day and watch the videos on my platform. And I'm going to show you whatever content is going to dole you out, make you angry, and make you stay on the platform. If I ever find a video through which you become empowered and you exit the platform, I will stop showing this video to as many people. This is a bad video. So, the very nature of the internet as a global educational system, as a connector, the main way of flow of information in the world is currently abusing us. We have an evil internet right now, truly. And
You mean the dark web?
no, I mean Twitter, Instagram,
Ah, okay.
TikTok, specifically TikTok, of course, because it's the most cotton candy of all content,
Yeah, I mean.
and that's with the youngest people who have the least amount of maturity or cultural defense in their mind
Not just
to
that.
defend against realizing, hey, you're wasting all of your fucking time.
Not just that, we can say the attention span of the youngsters is very less. So they are just looking at a content for 10 to 15
Right.
seconds.
We have brought in opium into the Qing dynasty, the Qing dynasty, which is just a dopamine cocktail on the phone. Like, it's easy to understand when you think about how the engagement algorithm works, right? Especially when you personify it. This is what I wrote in the white paper on the website. If I'm like a person and like I don't care about you at all and I'm unwilling to change, even if you ask me to, and all I'll do is do whatever I can to make you lay in bed all day and listen to me and not talk to your other friends, I'm a fucking shitty person. I'm an evil person, and you're not gonna let your kids anywhere near me. But that's exactly what we unleashed to the entire world as the biggest social platform right now. And this capability, though, for society to update its operating system, to understand this is unhealthy, I think is already happening. I think some of the cultural updates are there, but we don't have a hardware update yet. And Socialverse is more of the hardware update, which is the tech, the replacement of, hey, I do want to log onto my phone and I do want to see the current thing and I do want to see videos. I like to stay up to date. I like to consume information, and sometimes I do find videos that have utility towards my personal life and people I want to connect with. But what if we optimized for that rather than just optimizing for the engagement? What if we optimized for empowerment of people and help towards people? Then we could have something fucking ridiculous where in the morning, just like I was saying, where I want a video to remind me I'm at war, every morning I log onto my app and my app is trying to figure out how to make me that empowered, and it's showing me from a global corpus of videos the best fucking videos that do that. Like, imagine how empowering and educational those videos are gonna be.
Yes.
Very.